What's up guys, BOTCG here, back with another Sunday deck profile, and I'm going back to a couple of favorites of mine. I've really been in the kick of just playing decks that I enjoy versus just kind of like, well, I'm still playing decks for content because I always like to cycle them instead of just like, oh, I really like this one right now, let me just play this one. But yeah, like, well, I'm just going into some favorites. I've recently done Eugene, going back to my BAROMAGNES list because this list has changed. This promo is so huge for this deck. But yeah, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, guys. And remember, in every one of my deck profiles, the deck log is in the headliner of the description. So yeah, let's get into the deck profile itself. Going on to grade 3s. We're playing 3 copies of Persona Ride. The main reason we're playing Persona Ride in this deck is like, yeah, Persona Riding is sweet on top of everything else that you're doing. If you have it, you have it. If you don't have it, you don't have it. But the main reason is I wanted to take advantage of all of his effects. Basically his pump effect of for every BAROMAGNES that you have in Soul. So this lets me facilitate that. Now, this isn't a toolbox version of the deck. This is basically kind of more or less what the deck wants you to play with the new, like with all the cards that it's gotten, with the new support card it's gotten. I'm a big believer in that you want to make your deck better, you want to make your deck more consistent, more powerful. Put in more cards that care about what your Vanguard is doing, that have your Vanguard's name in its text, and it would surprisingly do better than what you thought. I forget this deck building philosophy all the time, and it helps me so much with deck building in Standard. And it helps you figure out some things that maybe other people didn't figure out, or like some tech plays. But getting on to the rest of our grade 3s, we're playing 4 copies of Magna Reversal Breaker. You really do need this card. I almost tried cutting this card from this deck, but like a 1-card Soul Charge 3 and that 5k buff to the front row helps extremely. It helps a lot in this deck. So that's the reason why we're playing this. And then moving on to our grade 2s. 4 copies of Momentary Stillness. At first, I didn't like this card because it only worked if it's placed from hand. You can do it on grade 2, which is nice, but it only works from placed from hand. It lets you soul charge a card from your drop zone. When it's sucked up by your Vanguard's ability, you get to draw a card. And again, it's that main thing of I don't like that I have to be from hand. But again, I'm trying out a different version of this deck, which I do consider successful. It doesn't have any toolbox elements whatsoever, which I do miss. But I do consider this deck very successful in what it's trying to do. And Momentary Stillness helps us in that fact, just like adding key pieces that we've unfortunately had to discard back into our Soul, which is very nice. And then 4 copies of like essentially like the playmaker of the entire deck. 4 copies of Hardening Insight. Hardening Insight goes so hard in this deck. He basically allows you to recycle perfect guards from the drop zone back onto the bottom of your deck, key pieces back onto the bottom of your key unit cards. You can only recycle unit cards, which really sucks because like it sucks when I get these in drop zone and then I have no way of getting rid of them from my drop zone. But he's a beater, he soul charges, one of the key playmakers of this deck. And then we're playing 3 copies of Lilac Lasher. Lilac Lasher can be played at 4 copies. I would just cut a Momentary Stillness. But I prefer the Momentary Stillness over Lilac Lasher because Lasher doesn't serve a dual purpose. Its only purpose is to be a beater. Like Hardening Insight serves a dual purpose. It's a beater and a soul charge card. Momentary Stillness serves a dual purpose. It soul charges from drop zone and it draws cards when it's soul charged. And it also gets 5k on place. But yeah, I really do want to play another copy of Lilac Lasher, but right now in this current version of the list, the only way I see that being possible is cutting a Momentary Stillness for that 4th copy. Getting on to the rest of the deck. 4 copies of Brainwash Swirler. You already know what it is. Big beater, big booster. You always want to have a Swirler behind your Vanguard. Nothing much to say here. 4 copies of Flaming Pony. This was my main reason for wanting to play Momentary Stillness, was if I draw into the ponies and I have to discard the ponies, it's a way of getting Pony into Soul from drop zone. So that was my main reason for wanting to play Momentary Stillness, was its synergy with Flaming Pony. and then 4 copies of Felia, the new promo. It's made for this deck, man. Like, your opponent isn't gonna have a board. You play an order card. Oh man, like the draw power and like the fact that it's a 13k booster and it goes to Soul is so good for this deck. Like, there have been, like, you've guys seen me play this deck with Felia in it. There have been moments that, like, okay, like making 2 extra attacks isn't gonna do anything for me here. Let me make a giant 4th attack instead, and I just call Hardening Insight and I call a Felia, and it's a huge column that draws me a card, which is like, it just feels so great when you just have to like switch gears mid battle phase, because you know that 2 attacks is gonna be weaker than 1. And then getting on to the rest of the cards, we're playing 4 copies of the D Perfect Guard. The main reason I'm not playing Elementaria in this deck is because the way that this deck is constructed, you don't want non-normal units. Unfortunately, this is an order card, but you want your deck to be mainly comprised of normal units so that you can recycle them with Hardening Insight. And yeah, that's that, because Hardening Insight is the entire deck. It is the entire deck. It is a beater. It is your main Soul Charger. Momentary Stillness, I believe, can only get normal unit cards, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see here. Choose a card. No, it can get anything and put it to Soul. But again, Hardening Insight can only recycle normal units, so I want all my Perfect Guards to be normal units so that I can recycle them back to deck if needed. One of the Dark States Overtrigger, Dark States Overtrigger in this deck just makes so much sense. Like, if you check it in the early, you have it for the rest of the game, and like on top of the guard restrict of your Vanguard, like they can just never eat that attack. Like, I've had moments where like the first grade 3 turn, like they'll be at low damage so they can purposely eat the attack. Like, not with this. They cannot eat that attack whatsoever. 3 of the Into Soul front triggers. I was waiting for Felia and I was waiting for these to come back to come out so I can update this deck. You guys know that this is one of my favorites. So like, I wanted these out at the same time so that I could profile it and give you guys a true BAROMAGNES profile versus I didn't really give you guys the justice that this deck deserved when it did get the main core of its support cards. 4 Into Soul crits, 4 regular crits, and then 4 regular heals. Again, there is no toolbox aspect of this deck whatsoever, which is unfortunate because most of your toolbox was garnered towards your defense. So like, you're just basically relying on the fact that you'll hard draw into like way defensive cards like Perfect Guards and triggers, which can happen. I've had games with this deck where my hand was just a fistful of triggers and I'm like, what am I still doing in this game? It's a fistful of triggers. But yeah, this is definitely still a Rogue Legend by all standards set, but definitely one of my favorites still. And I think I am going to play this at my next local, so you might see future gameplay of this exact list. But anyways, guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Later.